Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to In the Garden with Joyful Living. I am Kimberly Dixon. Guys, I am so excited. So, today, for the first time, I am streaming live on Facebook as well as YouTube through the streaming service Restream. So, given that, one, I'm excited because this is a change, it's something new, but also I don't know what I'm doing. So, if something doesn't work quite right, or if something seems a little off, please help me out. Give me some tips, give me some feedback. We're going to be using this going forward, so there's going to be a learning curve. Um, in addition to that, because I'm using a streaming service, I'll be able to tell when people are watching, but I won't be able to see who is watching. So with that, when you are on, please say good morning in the chat box so that I can actually see who's watching, because I see people are watching now, but because I'm using a streaming service, I can't see who it is. So please go to the chat box and let me know who's watching this morning. But while we wait for a few other people to join us this morning, let me show you what I've got going on here. So my office, well, as you can see, is in the garden with Joyful Living, and I'm normally outside. Good morning, Keisha. Thank you so much for joining, and so excited to have you on. I'm excited this morning, Keisha. But while we wait for some other people to join in, please go to the chat box. Say good morning so that I'll know who is watching. And let me know where you're chiming in from, because as I said, I'm streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. And I don't have a huge following, but I've got a following, and they're from all over the place. So let me know where you're watching from. But while we wait for additional people to come in this morning, let me give you an update on the seedlings that we planted just a couple of weeks ago. These are the Paul Robeson black variety tomatoes that I planted a couple of weeks ago. Still pretty young. I am waiting for them to get their first set of true leaves so that I can start feeding them. Most of them are doing well at this point. I've got them under grow lights so that they don't get too leggy. And leggy means they just get tall and skinny and they're weak and they won't do well. But I've got on my printer table here, it has turned into a growing station, because I know that in order for me to, good morning, Mike. Good morning, Katrina. Oh, Myrtle Beach is in the house. Yay, South Carolina. Girl, I got to come to the beach. I'm going to tell you, as soon as it gets warm, Katrina, I'm coming to see you. And I see what you've been up to. I want to be on your podcast too, because you were on mine. So now it's time for me to return that favor. I watch. I know what's going on. But my copy table is a little seedling area now. I got grow lights, and I'm going to just turn it around here so you can see my setup over here. Grow lights and trays of flowers on the end, strawberries, and then all my tomatoes are here. And I'm doing that because, I've been gardening for years, but most of the time I only direct sowed herbs outdoors. But I know in order for me to go to where God has me with this gardening thing, I need to be able to know how to grow from seed. So this year is very much an experiment in that I have never grown from seeds, things like tomatoes and peppers. Good morning, Lori. And thank you all for chiming in. You and Michael, Michael, I love you, baby. Michael is my nephew, guys, and he and I share a very special relationship. So I'm so glad that he's on with me this morning. We're going to turn you into a little farmer too, Michael. So by the time that you get grown, we've got that full grown, that homestead that just fully self-sufficient. And so we are growing things by seed so that I can take this garden to the place where God would have me to take it. So before I go any further, let me thank the sponsors of In the Garden with Joyful Living. First of all, we have Love is a Parable, whose mission is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to promote love and random acts of kindness. I'm excited, y'all. I didn't have too much coffee this morning. We've got other people that are watching us this morning. Guys, go ahead and go to the chat box and let me know where you're watching from, because as I stated, I'm streaming live from a restreaming service that will allow me to be live on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So I can't actually see who is watching. So let me know who is here with me this morning and where you're from. Um, I'm so excited, and I had way too much Blackology coffee. And so our second sponsor is actually Blackology Coffee. They are a sponsor of In the Garden with Joyful Living. And if you really want to enjoy some delicious coffee, I want to encourage you to give Blackology Coffee a try. You can order it online. I'll put my affiliate link in the details on YouTube and in the comments on Facebook so that you can experience a little bit of what I've been experiencing this morning. In addition to those two corporate sponsors, we have individual patrons of Carolyn Billups and Malcolm Dixon, who regularly contribute to the garden through other things. So we all know that in Texas right now, they are experiencing some really harsh weather and winter weather that they don't normally get. And I belong to several different gardening groups. Good morning, A. Nicole. That's one of my gardening sisters. Guys, go ahead and chime in. Let me know where you're watching from. But I belong to several different gardening groups, and a lot of them have members in Texas, and they're experiencing weather that they never get. Texas normally has pretty mild winters, and they don't normally get ice. And so they're dealing with no electricity, ice, no water, and all types of extreme conditions that they're just not accustomed to. And some of my gardening partners, they've lost their garden. They've lost either what they had already planted outside, or they lost. Thank you, Mike. It is. See, Laura, I got Mike on the Blackology Coffee. Good morning, Dara. I am going to be putting together some gardening care packages to send to some of my sisters in the Texas area that are just that either lost their seedlings because they don't have any electricity, and young seedlings, they need lights and grow lights. So if you don't have any, and those seedlings are really tender and young, so they will die easily. So I am going to be putting together some gardening packages to send to some of my sisters in the Texas area. So if you want to donate, send me an inbox or send me a message, and I will give you my address so that you can send seeds to me or other gardening things so that I can get them to these sisters in the Texas area so that they can restart their spring gardens, because gardening brings so much joy and light and love into your life. And I want to be able to share a little bit of what I have with them. So if you want to help me contribute to bringing some joy into their life, because that's what joyful living is all about. We want to share with others. Our announcements this morning is on April the 24th, I am doing my first ever kids event. People have been asking for it and really wanting to get their children involved in gardening and showing them how to live sustainable lives and how to take care of themselves, because there are so many kids that think food comes from the grocery store. So I am going to be conducting a workshop for children on April the 24th entitled Giving from the Ground, Planting Seeds of Greatness, because our youth are so very important, and they need to know how to take care of themselves and how to take care of the earth, take care of the things that we've been given. The event will be from 11 to 1, not super long. It's going to involve some teaching, some gardening games. I'm going to have plants available for a donation to the garden. So make sure that you register your children. It's from ages 5 to 12. Now, children younger than that are welcome, but a parent will have to stay with them. You want to go to register by emailing me at joyfullivingwithkd@gmail.com. Be sure to include the name of the child and the age that will be attending. And at that time, I'll give you the location, because this is at a small gardening event. And, we don't want people just showing up randomly. Now, we will practice social distancing. We will be wearing masks that day. We're going to do this in a way so that the children can learn and have a good time and still be safe. Mike said, give me the right address. I just bought some grow lights and I really like them. So there's a funny story to that. Malcolm sent me a gift for the garden back in December, I guess it was. and I gave him the wrong address. Then I had to hunt it down in my neighborhood, but I found it. I was on a mission. So today I am going to be planting red bell peppers. Now, in my other trays, I have a mixture of peat moss, vermiculite, and something else. I can't remember right now. But today I'm going to be trying out these little peat pods that expand when you put water in them. So I'm going to be sowing red bell peppers today. But what I really wanted to talk to you today about is changing your environment. So I am coming to you from my office today. Good morning, Jay. Thank you so very much. I am trying this restreaming thing for the first time this morning, so I'm excited and nervous, but I really appreciate everybody that's watching this morning. I spend a lot of time in my office, and it has always been, just a place where I get work done. But as you all know, my father passed away in September. Now, this was also the place where I called him every morning without fail. I called him at 10:30, and if for whatever reason, I didn't call by 1, he was hunting me down. He called me, finding my sister or whomever to find out where his poo baby was, because that's his nickname for me. But after he passed away, I didn't get it at first, but whenever I came into this room, there was a heaviness to it, and I didn't know what it was. But when I replanted, my best friend sent me an arrangement that had a live plant in it, and my praying group, the praying CEO, they had given me this peace lily, and my best friend Keisha had sent me a live arrangement that had this live plant in it that you could replant. When I brought them into the office, I realized that it changed the space. It changed the atmosphere. So at that time, I decided I'm going to turn my office into a living, breathing sanctuary, to change the atmosphere in this room, to take away the heaviness that was associated with the passing of my father and turn it into a space that was full of life and that was full of fresh air. So let me show you what I've got here. I moved my laptop, so let me see if we can get things back into view here. So I chose these beautiful pastel color pots for a reason. There's a yellow one, a light green one, and a light blue one. But I've got a vermilion, an African violet, then a pot here with some succulents. Now the succulent that was in my flower arrangement, his name is Little Sam. Nobody else in here has a name other than Big Sam, the peace lily back in. But this is Little Sam, and I recently purchased some mates so he wouldn't be by himself in the pot. I'm silly, y'all. But then we have a polka dot plant here, very pretty. Then there's another African violet here. It's a pink one. And then we have this pathos plant that is actually a piece from one that's downstairs on top of the refrigerator. And I realized last night, guys, I've had that pathos since I've been an adult. That's the first plant I ever owned that I got at my first apartment when I was 19 years old. I have broken pieces off and given it to others. And the original piece is still upstairs on top of my refrigerator, but now I've got a piece of that plant that I've had my entire adult life in my office. So, and the last one there, that's Big Sam, that came from my praying CEO group. But that was all part of me changing the environment in my office. It was part of me shifting the experience of being in this room. Now, with these physical plants, that changed the environment by it purifies the air. When you come into this room, it smells different than the rest of the house. Well, it smells like dirt. And if you're from the country, like me, you know that dirt actually has a smell to it. There is nothing like smelling red clay, just as it has a sprinkle of rain on it. So older people are not crazy when they say it smells like rain. It really does. But it smells like the earth in here. It is clean. And as soon as I open a door, you can tell that the air is different in here. All of these plants they're acting to purify the air. They remove carbon dioxide from the air and replenish the oxygen. So just adding these plants to the space, they made into an entirely new environment where it is full of clean air. And then they help reduce the stress. They took something that was a very sad and painful experience for me, and this room carried the weight of that because every morning, this is where I called my dad from. So just being in here made me think of him automatically. Sit down at my desk and I would reach for my phone. Some mornings I still reach for my phone to call him, but then I remember we can't do that anymore, not in a physical sense. But these plants in this room, they reduce the stress of being in this space. And then plants boost your productivity. They boost your brain power. There have been countless research projects that have been done that have proven that plants really boost productivity. They boost your brain power. But that's just this physical space. That's the location, this office. But when I talk about changing your environment, it is so much bigger than that. Your environment can include your physical location, as far as geographic location, like you're moving from one state to another. It can include a room in your house. It can include your mental space, that space between your ears. That's an environment. And that environment is affected by what you read, what you see, what you hear. All of that's contributing to your environment. If you want to change your life, you have to change your environment. There's no way getting around that. Thank you, Katrina. She said the plants are beautiful. But when we are going through changes in our life, whether that be because we've lost someone or we've lost a job or whatever the situation may be, or a change in our life, that's going to require us to change the environment. That might be changing some of the people that you associate with. It might be changing a room into your house. This is my living, breathing sanctuary now. And many of you know that I am a licensed foster parent. This room will be able to be used to help children feel calm and peaceful, because that's what the atmosphere is in this room now. It's a workspace, but there are so many plants in here now that it feels like a garden. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna add some more. So this room is going to become a living, breathing botanical space. It's gonna have plants and flowers in this room, and my vegetables and garden will be outside. But a new environment shifts you. It changes you. That can be your physical location. It can be a room in your house. It can be what you read, what you watch on television. It can be who you associate with. But it's an absolutely imperative for us to realize that in order for us to make changes, the changes in our life that are lifelong, like, because we see all of these challenges on social media, 30-day challenge, 60-day challenge, whatever it may be. But after the challenge is over, we fall back into our old routines. So that is enough to teach us that it's going to take something different than just doing a water challenge or a walking challenge or whatever it may be. Now, they're great. They have really good intentions, but it's going to require more than just that challenge to change the actual environment, in which is the way you think and the way you live. So today I want to encourage you, don't be afraid to change your environment. Don't be afraid to shift things in your life. And if you're feeling stuck in your life and you don't know how to go forward, one of the ways to go forward is to change your environment. And that doesn't necessarily mean you got to move across the country. It might mean that if God gives you puts it in your spirit that that's where you need to move to California, or move to Washington, or wherever it may be, then that you need to follow that. But changing your environment doesn't necessarily mean that you got to move from here to France. It might mean that you may need to change your immediate circle some. Doesn't mean that you can't be friends with people anymore. It just means you may need to add somebody to that circle and spend less time with the circle that you're with now, because research shows that we are the cumulative effect of the people that we spend the most time, the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So look at who you're spending your time with. It may be time for you to shift that environment to include someone new in the circle that is going to broaden your horizon, that are going to encourage you to step out and do something new. Me being on Restream this morning, that's changing my environment. I have been doing Facebook Lives for a number of years now, and enjoyed the process. It was going well. And then, I would save the video and then upload it to my YouTube channel so that I could address both audiences. But doing it this way, it increases my productivity. That means I got more time to spend in my garden and more time to do seeds. But it also means that I'm expanding my horizons and stepping out and trying something new. Am I nervous this morning? Absolutely. Even though it's the same, but it's different. So I am nervous, but it's okay to be nervous. We are going to be nervous anytime there's a change in your life, but we can be nervous and allow fear and just allow fear to keep you stuck in one place, or you can step out on the water. Ooh, that thing just went through me, y'all. I just almost did a holy dance right there. You can step out on the water, but when you step out on the water, don't be like Peter and get afraid. Good morning, Elizabeth. Don't be like Peter and look down and become afraid and start to sink. Keep your eyes focused on God. Keep your eyes focused on the thing that you want to accomplish. And the thing that I want to accomplish in the Garden with Joyful Living is, one, share the joy of gardening with other people. Show them how to plant and produce food for your family right there on, no matter how big of a space you have. I am growing a full garden between my front porch and my back patio. But my desire is to be able to share some of what it produces with the community. Now I already share with my immediate neighbors and friends because it produces way more food than one person can eat. But I want to be able to share with a much larger community. Hence, when God told me to buy all of those seeds, I'm like, what am I getting all these seeds for? I can't possibly plant all of this, not knowing that my sisters in Texas were going to need me. So now I have seeds that I can send out to other people. But don't be afraid to change your environment. Don't be afraid to step out on the water and do something different, do something new that is going to stretch you, that is going to grow you, that is going to enlighten you, that is going to push you. Y'all, when I tell you 2020 was one of the worst years, I'm not talking about just the pandemic. That added to it. But there has been loss upon loss upon loss in my life. But I could either throw up both of my hands in exasperation and turn around and go back and not do anything. I'll be honest here, I have them days when I'm like, I ain't doing it. But luckily, I have some people in my life like J. Dwayne Garnett and Kimberly Winborn, and Lori Jones, and my family, my brother and my sister, that will not just let me let me sit down and do nothing because. And my cousin Tim, my cousin Timmy took me to dinner the other week. I'm just like, I need to have a talk with you. It was funny, but it was true. She was like, this isn't you. I need you to kick it back into gear. What are you doing? And then she have a nerve give me deadlines on stuff. But anyway, I said all of that to say that when we have things in our life that discourage us, that hinder us, that cause us to pause, don't get stuck there. Got to step out on the water. We got to take that step forward to change our environment, to change our lives, because this life is not going to be easy. It is going to be full of valley high lows and mountain highs. But that's all part of the joys of life, because we'll be able to look back in a few years and figure out what 2020 taught us. I did a post this morning. It popped up in one of my memories of me embracing a friend at an event a couple of years ago. But when I saw it, I paused for a minute because we were hugging, and not in one of those, It was a true embrace, heart to heart embrace. And I was like, wow, when was the last time I hugged somebody like that? Because right after I posted that, did that post for us to embrace somebody, we fell into the COVID season in which we weren't supposed to hug, we weren't supposed to gather, we were supposed to wear masks and to do 6 feet social distancing. But in a few years, we'll be able to look back and see what this taught us about treasuring and valuing the things and the people that we have in our life. But to get back on topic, y'all, I'll just be all over the place. I told you I had too much coffee this morning. But don't be afraid to change your environment. Don't be afraid to step out and do something new. Don't be afraid to change the people that you're hanging with, to change your physical location, to change your mindset. Pick up a book that you've never read before, because all of this feel good stuff. I know people be like, Kim, well, you're so happy, or you're so full of joy, but that's not me. I didn't start out like this, y'all. I used to be a mean little something, and that's the God's honest truth. Ask my sister or anybody that grew up with me, and they will tell you that I was a mean little rattlesnake. But that was because that was how I dealt with the trauma and the things that were going on in my life. But I made a decision in my 30s that the person I was not who I wanted to be. I did not want that to be my legacy. I changed my mental environment. And now you see the person before you who is genuinely the joyful living life coach. As Elizabeth said, stretch yourself. Don't stay where you're at. I don't care if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, or 70, stretch yourself. It is still possible to change your environment. So, guys, I have got some gardening to do. If you're watching this on Facebook, share the video. If you're watching it on YouTube, share the video. Get the link and share the video. But I want to thank you all so very much for watching. Again, I want to thank my sponsors for the Joyful Living Garden of Love is a Parable, Blackology Coffee, and the individual patrons of Malcolm Dixon and Carolyn Billups. Thank you guys so very much. I love you all. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.